Welcome back, everybody, to MTG Family, and today it's an unprecedented announcement from the Commander Rules Committee. They've, as of September 23rd, banned the following cards: Dockside Extortionist, Jeweled Lotus, Mana Crypt, and the one we all expected, Nadu. So for the first time since MTG Family has been playing Magic, the Rules Committee has banned some not only really strong and expensive cards, but also some cards that are chase cards, not only for Wizards and their selling of boxes, but just across the Magic community as a whole. And before I get into the financial ramifications of this banned announcement, we're going to first go through the reasons that the Commander Rules Committee said that they banned these cards. The philosophy of Commander prioritizes creativity, and one of the ways we have historically reflected that is in the rules and ban list is to encourage a slower pace of the game than traditional formats. This gives decks time and space to develop and do different things. We have a goal to make it easier for players who enjoy slower, more social games to have an environment for them to explore. Commander has always had the potential for someone to get out to a fast start and be the first arch-villain in the game, but that has been balanced by having multiple players gunning for them once that happens. In the past few years, notably since Strixhaven's School of Mages, we have seen a pattern of stronger mid-game cards that allow players who skip past the early game to snowball their advantage straight through to the win. Occasionally games like that are fine, but it shouldn't be common, and we're taking steps to bring that frequency down a bit by banning 3 of the most explosive plays in the format. And guys, the first card is Mana Crypt. Coming down for no mana on turn 1, it's quite possible to have an explosive start with Mana Crypt into a Signet or a Talisman, then a land and another Signet, leaving that player untapping 5 mana on turn 2. In games going over 12 turns, the accumulated threat of damage from Mana Crypt provides a reasonable counterbalance for its explosive effect, but when you are snowballing to a turn 6 or a turn 8 win, it's meaningless as far as a drawback. I gotta be honest, we all kind of knew that. We all kind of knew that for a long time. And anyone who's played with Mana Crypt, anyone who's been playing against Mana Crypt, anyone who's played it in Cube, honestly, it's a broken card. It's there to do things that maybe your deck wasn't capable of doing without it. And the drawback has always been kind of dulled by the fact that you're playing Commander. The fact that 40 life just simply gives you more opportunity to pay life for that advantage. It's kind of obvious. The card itself had to go. Am I shocked that it went this week? Absolutely. Am I shocked that it went with all these other cards? Who isn't? But I think we can all pretty much agree across the board that Mana Crypt is more powerful than almost any other card in Commander and in Magic in general, other than the Power 9. And so guys, the second card we want to talk about is the Dockside Extortionist. Dockside isn't normally quite as explosive in the early game as the other 2 cards, but it can still go mana positive on turn 2 and start to generate substantial treasures after that. It's been on the border for years, and we've shied away from acting in the past because the card has scaled well with other power levels on the table, but it's frequently a contributor to more egregious snowballing starts. And last but not least of the 3 surprises, the Jeweled Lotus. This card, I'm not even going to read what they said about it. This card has been Wizards' little beauty. It's been their first shot of printing a Commander Power 9 card. And obviously it allows you to do things like have 5 mana on turn 2. It allows you to play your Commander significantly earlier. And our Commanders, as we know, are broken at this point. They do so much when they come into play. If you have a 5, 6, 8 drop Commander, you're just doing everything you can to rush them out. And this card needs... And guys, the last one of these mana accelerators that they're going to ban today has really been Wizards' star pupil recently. It's been their first actual attempt at printing Power 9 directly into Commander. It is a Lotus with the intent of being a Lotus, but obviously skirting any rules and any promises they made everybody. Getting your Commander out, your 5-drop Commander on turn 2 or your 8-drop Commander on turn 3 is ridiculous. And honestly, this card has sold so many boxes. It's just really, really embarrassing that it's being banned. This card is a perfect example of Wizards printing a card with the intent specifically for Commander. It was actually first printed in Commander 2019, and they've very, very sparsely printed it since, keeping its value up very, very high. They use it as one of the linchpins for Double Masters 2022, basically knowing that it was a $100-ish card and printing several premium versions of it, the most expensive of which being somewhere around $200. This card has been very hard to pick up for under $60 since it was originally printed, and unfortunately what's happened is this card has just become so good, so valuable that Wizards has leaned into it a little too hard. Now guys, Mana Crypt is an entirely different animal. Mana Crypt, unlike the other two cards, was not originally printed for Commander. Mana Crypt was printed basically to sell magazines. They just reprinted this as a special guest. So the special guest, if you're not aware, came in various variants as far as the color, and those cards themselves range anywhere from, on the cheap end, $350 all the way up to $3,500, and I'm not even sure if I believe this larger price up here, but even at $3,500, this is a ridiculous price for a card that's only legal basically in 2 formats. The card is insane, but from a financial standpoint, buying it's insane. We can scroll down further. They've made so many versions of this in the recent past, including Double Masters, Mystery Booster, Eternal Masters, basically anything with the word Masters in it. Next up is basically the slap in the face of Wizards of the Coast, the Jeweled Lotus. This card obviously was printed specifically for Commander, as it's only been printed in Commander Legends and Commander Masters. This is the reason that people are buying boxes of Commander Legends even today. And Commander Masters, this was the driving force for buying a box. This was the golden ticket. This was the, the one ring for those boxes. If you didn't open Jeweled Lotus in these boxes, quite often you lost money. And so Wizards of the Coast not only is aware of that, but they probably would not have allowed this to be banned if they were in control. I suppose giving Commander what they want is what they were intending on doing. I'm sure it was financially motivated, because that's all their decisions and how they work. But I think they just overshot on this one, and it created a game state that they weren't expecting. So this one had to go, and this one really does hurt. Okay, guys. So yeah, this is the wrap-up. We lost Dockside Extortionist, Jeweled Lotus, and Mana Crypt. I think we all know that this wasn't a Wizards decision. We all know that Wizards probably wouldn't have made this decision. It's not in their best interest. They're going to be losing so much selling power going forward with their premium sets because they can't just include these in some other variant. But we all can probably agree deep down inside that this isn't the best interest of the actual game of Commander. It just makes sense. So if you take the financial portion of this out of the discussion and just talk about the actual gameplay at your local LGS or with your friends, we all kind of knew that these were overpowered. Listen, not all the choices are going to be popular, but I commend them for making this move. I'm sure this brings them some heat from Wizards. And I think that, if anything, a lot of smaller cards are going to get some more love, which means they're going to go up in price. And overall, if you're not sitting on a stockpile of these, like your local LGS might be, it shouldn't affect you too much overall. Because again, most of the time when something very expensive drops, a lot of other cards see more play and they go up in value. So I would say don't be too upset about the change. Obviously, you have to make some updates to your deck. But at the end of the day, we got to move forward. Just like any other format, these changes have to happen periodically. Hopefully in the future, they won't happen all in one day. And so this was our special report from MTG Family. Not something we would normally do, but I just felt like this was something we had to speak on. So we appreciate you, and we'll see you on the next one.